All right, time to get back at it. This is the Unconquered Film Session review of the Florida State Miami game with the Miami offense against Florida State defense. So pretty straightforward. Now, basics in this game coming in, it was pretty obvious that Tony White was going to essentially employ his entire front four against the Miami run game and essentially try to stop the run game with those guys and then focus on everything else in the secondary and the backers. Miami expected this, and that's why, on the early drive, on the first drive, what do? They start with some wide screen stuff. They know that they've got to loosen up Florida State a little bit and get them moving sideline to sideline a little bit. Good plan here early from Shannon Dawson. But good pursuit here. This is a defensive tackle getting outside and getting a nice shot on the ball carrier. Still, you'll take three yards on that first down from Miami. That's an acceptable situation, for what essentially is a first down wide run there. So now this is what Miami does. I mean, this is their offense. They're in a bunch set, so you've got a compressed formation, and they're gonna try to create a wall here, and they're gonna run inside. That's what they do. And so Florida State here, they're matched up. They've gone big personnel, and they've got a walked up backer here, and essentially they have matched the bunch formation, the bunch set, with a 5-man front with 2 backers. So they're in a 5-2 look with a essentially what looks like a man situation here, and then they've got an additional rover here who's going to be secondary run support on the inside. You can see he's kind of playing with his weight forward. So you're going to go here, here, and here, and then everybody else is going to come forward on run action, essentially. You're going to get some sort of man coverage, if they're going to release that. So this is a no before you go, but he's secondary run support. So this is a handoff, and you can see how this goes. They love to double team and so on. Now, you'll notice up front, Darrell Jackson immediately is getting some push, and essentially at this point, this is a stalemate for the run game. This is basically I would classify that as a win for the Florida State run defense on this down. And this is actually where they had the biggest advantage. Darrell Jackson against Miami's center, Brockermeyer, actually won this matchup on the night on the whole. So you can see here, they're trying to get a double. They love their doubles and their combos up, but this gets occupied pretty well, and Jackson ultimately makes the play here. So 3rd and 5. Once again, Miami running very compressed formations. That's what they like to do. And the advantage of this is that you do get more beef to kind of create the walls and do what you want in the running game. But the general rule is that you compress to expand, so that you can start to do different things in your releases to cause problems for teams as you expand and create space a different way after the snap instead of before the snap. So that's what they're doing. So they're going to work here. You also have to force the secondary to communicate and try to figure out who's releasing where. So this is one of the default things that they run. This is just mesh. You're going to get flat route. You're going to get the 2 mesh routes, and then you're usually going to get some sort of dig or over the ball here. And in this case, instead of that, they're going to work their way to the high corner. And, if you look at this is where Florida State lost this football game. You can already see, this is bad. You see all that space? That's really bad. Right? I know he's already throwing, but this right here, nobody goes with him. So they're covering the mesh, as you should, but they should have someone here. Someone should be going with the flat. Probably should be him. Because he should handle the high corner. He should have that. And then he should have the flat route. And then you should have the exchanges happening with the mesh here. And then he's going to sit down as well over the top. That's how that should go. This is bad. That's a very bad. You have 3 players right here in coverage, standing within 4 yards of each other. That is not how this should be in the secondary. And this is the stuff that cost Florida State the game. You can already see this on the third play of the game. They're in mesh. And despite the fact that you have all these players here, not a single one of them gets into a place where they can disrupt the mesh. The way that this should work is that you should have somebody where they're in position to disrupt. And this is something Miami, teams that run mesh, they rep it a ton. And Miami does a great job of repping it and getting the first down here the way that they should. Now, FSU has a 3-man rush. You're not going to expect quick pressure here. And there is no pressure. I mean, you got a double team here, you got a double team here, and then he's run around. It's a win for the Miami offensive line for sure. But this ball's out super quick too. They're trying to cover rather than rush here. And you still have wide donkey open and a little hole here that develops. That's just really poor from Florida State's back end. And we've seen a lot of this all year. I mean, this is what Virginia was able to do. It was there against Alabama, and it was there against Miami as well. So now you got 1st and 10 after a first down, and now you're going to run duo. So you're just running 2 double teams here at the point of attack, and then letting those guys go, and then essentially the back is going to try to find where the backers aren't. And this is actually what you want to do here. It's one of the things I talked about in the pregame. Go to a knee, right there. Create a pile. Now, the backer doesn't do a good job of working around the pile, but go to the knee to create a pile. Do not let them move you. He's actually not doing it early enough. But you see how they created that pile, and the pile doesn't move. And then the backer gets in there. That's a stalemate in the run game. You'll take that every time defensively. That's okay. That's exactly what you want. You got to run through here. These two are just stalemates up front, setting the edges, letting your backers come downhill. This is a win for Florida State's run defense. Now, what you don't like is the back is able to fall forward for about 2 extra yards after that contact. You got to keep that from happening. You got to get the no gain instead of 2nd and 8. But you'll take the overall results up front. That's a stalemate at worst. And now you're blitzing, and you're bringing pressure. This is 2nd and 8. And they're in a formation that they like to run these deep. It's a very similar concept to what Florida State likes to run. You know, you're over with your deep big boy post, that sort of thing. Florida State out of this look, they're going to bring. It's actually an initial 5-man rush here. So the design here is to go here and here. So this is actually a pretty good scheme. What they're trying to do is take the tackle with him, turn the guard inside, and then work their way through that gap and try to kind of hide it so that the back is going to be late in getting to the backside on this. So this is what they want. They want to kind of hide this and then let that come back in. So essentially you want these guys to just kind of compress things. He's going to just handle that edge, and you're trying to get him as your free rusher. And Miami does a really good job of sifting to that, but they're a little late. There actually is just a tiny bit. You know, I would classify this as not pressure. Pro Football Focus might classify this as pressure. I think that's wrong because it's just they're late. But you gotta win one on the inside, and the backer's just a little late. Now, when you're playing this kind of single coverage, you've got to make sure that you're handling your business. Now, that the safety here is responsible for deep middle here. You got a 3 deep, and they're beat. I mean, Edwin Joseph is beat here. They're just running verts, and so he's just going to sit, and they're going to run like a high corner with a little curl as well. This is designed to go to this all the way. And Joseph's beat, and this is just a poor throw from Beck. Now, actually, it's not that poor. Receiver really could have come up with this. But note how quickly, how on rhythm he is when he gets rid of this. Note the difference between that and what Castellanos was doing for Florida State. He gets this out on rhythm, bang, hit the back, hitch, make the throw. And that's easy. And Florida State's just flat out beat in the secondary. All right, so now you got third down, 3rd and 8. This is pass rush down, so you've got the leverage here. And what Florida State's doing here is they're mugging both of these guys. The design is going to be to try to pull your additional attention inside. You're going to have to commit at least 3 to the 4 that are in here, and then they're going to try to bring pressure usually from somewhere else to get a free rusher. So a lot of times, sometimes they'll bring both of those guys, but a lot of times they'll just drop those guys out. They're just trying to get a one-on-one with someone that they like. So in this case, they actually bring the pressure. So they bring up the A gap here, up the A gap here. The center has to choose who he's going to take. The back's going to have to take the other. And so they've created one-on-ones across the board, with the exception of here. You're going to get some help on the edge. Little chip. And you'll notice that they're going to drop in coverage Desir here to try to get underneath what they think might be some sort of mesh or something like that. Because the goal is to force him to block nobody, because he's going to be responsible for Desir, force the center to block him, and then get him in a one-on-one against the back. And they basically do. And this is good pressure. They actually do get pressure here. This is a good initial series for Florida State's defense. And you feel pretty good about that. So you see how that works. And the way that they're actually doing this, you notice he's actually almost setting a pick. They're going to come here. So he's going to set the pick and then work his way to the quarterback, and then he's going to come here. And then by setting the screen, he actually then comes free. This is really good scheme. And they get pressure, and that's why that winds up incomplete. Now, Beck also misreads this, but I think he misreads it partly because the pressure's coming downhill. All right, next drive. Once again, compressed formation, and they're just trying to get the ball to the playmaker on the edge. This is a run play, as easy as they can make it. And, that's a stalemate of a play, basically. Miami gets the 3. Florida State doesn't give up more than 3, so, you just kind of call that a wash. 2nd and 7. Like to be able to make that tackle for, 1 fewer yard, but good, they're on scholarship too is the idea. All right, so here's the first daylight that Miami's had in the run game. Here they're going wide zone. So outside zone, you're going to set the edge. You're going to get the double team here and work your way to it. And this is on the backer. Yeah, let's go to the other side. So you can see here, the way that they're setting this, he really should be here based on how they're doing it. And the backer should be here. So this is a one of these is wrong, and he's got to make him right. So if he's trying to work over, and let's see if they're trying to slant a little bit. So really, Daryl Jackson, they want to be out here, and then they're going to work back to here. But he's got to make him right. If he sees that, he's got to get to that, and then you work your way back. Let's see. Yeah, that's a win by Miami's right guard or left guard. That's a really good play there. They get the double, and you get some daylight there. That's good play by Miami's offensive line. So now you get little play action. And once again, when they like to go deep, they're in the wider look. So this is tendency. This is what you're going to expect out of this look. When they want to go deep play action, they're going to do this stuff. They're going to do this stuff, Yep. So here you've got this, and then this, right? And your deep middle guy, let's see. Is right here. It's Shaheem Brown. So he's your deep middle guy. and you've got your outside third player here. So he's got, basically deep one-on-one with anything that's coming here. But you're expecting to have a little help to the middle from one of the safeties. So that's why he's going to play outside leverage. But this is where, Miami identified something with Jerry Wilson, and they did a good job of this. He's not the most fluid player. He's pretty stiff. And if they can just kind of move him a little bit with their releases, then they can create some space. And this is one where you got a standard 4-man rush. And the thing is, you got a 4-man rush against, this isn't quite max protect, but it's awfully close. Because what you're doing, you've got a 4-man rush against a 7-man protection, right? So this becomes a one-on-one situation where it shouldn't be a one-on-one. But anybody who expects to get pass rush on this doesn't understand protection. You got 7-man protection against a 4-man rush. You're gonna give up you're gonna get virtually no pressure pretty much any time. So 7-man protection. They're in pretty close to max protect. I mean, out of this formation, I would call this max protect. Max protect against a 4-man rush. They get plenty of time, and he's able to throw that in rhythm, in the one-on-one, where the real problem is you turned him around completely, and he got nosy down here. So now you're late on this rotation, and you're beat inside badly. This makes it very easy for the quarterback. I can make this throw still. Good throw by Beck, but I mean, that's 7-on-7. You should be able to make that throw. It's just way too easy. And again, it's okay if you're only rushing 4 and they're gonna go 7. What you can't do is give up this kind of space in your secondary. I mean, look at that. He's wide open. You cannot give up that kind of space if you're only rushing 4. You're rushing 4 against a max protect in order to have extra coverage downfield. All right, so now this is power. Is this? Yeah, running power. So you're going to get the double here, the doubles downhill, and then you're going to try to get all that beef moving forward. And again, all you're trying to do is create a wall. That's what they like to do, and then just get those guys in behind him. That's a win for Miami's offensive line there. That's a really good offensive line play here. Now, Maui Noah here, this is an interesting technique. He's trying to step inside and then use that arm to kind of throw, and he's not able to do that to the freshman, but it doesn't really matter because that's when the additional support shows up. And the way that this has to work is as these guys go, what Florida State's doing here is you've got to get these backers flowing over the top, and he should be hitting this here hard. And they're just a little late on that. And here, it's just not good enough from the backers especially. But Miami's offensive line wins that one. So now compressed formation again. This time running, this is duo. That's inside zone. And they're doing this out of 2 backs, so instead of getting a split zone, they're getting like a lead here, essentially. So this is like ISO, actually. They're getting kind of what they want. But this is, defensive line-wise, this is a stalemate against the offensive line, but the offensive line has a win on the whole when you factor in the backers. I think the backers didn't play this very well. So you can see right here, this is a win, compressing that. But you're jumping inside here, and you're trying to do this. And the problem is if you're jumping inside here and doing this, these guys have to hit this harder. That's where your space is being created, is against the backers and against the secondary. And the corner here has to get in with more force and make this tackle through the legs and wrap. So now you're 3rd and 2 after 2 runs. So 2 successful plays in the running game. And this is a win for the Florida State defensive front. Biggest thing, watch Daryl Jackson. Good Lord. That's just, wow. You get the freshman Wynn next to him here. Let's look at the other angle. You see, I mean, Brockermeyer's on skates as soon as he snaps the football, and Jackson just compresses that. He made some money in this game. And Wynn here is taking on this double team, the freshman. You can kind of see what he's made of. Doesn't really move, but he stays low, does his job. And you got another double here at the point of attack. And again, low man wins, and they're moving a little bit there. Yeah, so these two get a win on that double, but what you're trying to get is this and this to deal with that. And Jackson just kind of erases it, coming in from behind, and they are able to get a play and stop him. So it becomes 4th and 1. And here they're just going to try to double through the freshman here with Maui Noa coming crashing down. This is a really hard play because of the beef on this side. And if you're going to win this, you have to have somebody from here and here hit this so hard that this compresses. And they don't quite get there. So Wynn really doesn't go backwards, but they create enough space with these bodies coming inside that they're not able to hit hard enough, and this is able to fall forward. So that's first down. I'll give that a win to Miami's offensive line. And again, I would say that that's mostly on the backers. So here you get the little boot. They know that FSU's been selling out against the run here, and they don't get what they want here. Beck comes out, and he's got a guy there, makes the throw. This is good defense from Florida State. I think they were prepared for that boot action. Outside zone action, little stretch action, bring it back, and not much to do. So now 2nd and 4 from the 4. And this is where the game was won and lost, guys. Up front, you've had some wins for Florida State. You've had some wins for Miami so far. But in the secondary, they are getting torched right there. That's bad. Jerry Wilson got beat pretty good here, and it's not good enough. This is not good enough. And first of all, I don't know why in this situation you're sitting a guy on the goal line. I want to be in press here. Because what I want to do is I want to inside leverage this and essentially force everything to the outside. And I want that if they're going to beat me, they're going to have to beat me on a fade. I want that to be the situation. But this right here, that's just, I could do this still, and I'm 43 years old. Against that coverage, that's just not very good. First of all, if you're in man, you got to protect your inside leverage. You never give that up. If he wants to give you a little bit of a move and go outside, let him have the outside. You're going to stay on that inside hip. Doesn't matter. You don't hop. What are you doing? I mean, that's as easy as it gets. And again, this is where Florida State won, or where Florida State got beat over and over again. This is where Miami won this football game. Now, I do have some questions about alignment here in terms of what they're doing. I do wonder whether or not you're supposed to have somebody, maybe your rover misaligned here. Wonder if he's supposed to be more in here. So maybe stacked off a little bit to, potentially be able to help against that. But yeah, that's just too much space. That's terrible. All right, first down. Now they've got the ball. This is after the interception. You're going to get the little flea flicker here. And, I mean, if they'd run a stop and go out here, this probably scores too. He's looking. Whoop. But where they got him here is right here. They know that he's aggressive. this was designed pregame, I can guarantee you, knowing that the rover, the middle rover, likes to come downhill hard against the run. He likes to be an aggressor. So what are you going to do? You're going to go right back over top of him. If he's got this, you're going to have him coming downhill, and they're basically depending on those guys being out and this being a one-on-one with this guy who's out-leveraged. And this is right here. He's the guy that's responsible. That's a bust. And once again, you're in max protect against a four-man rush. There's just nothing you're going to do to get pressure in max protect against a four-man rush. That's the design of it. But what you're counting on is you've got 7 guys in coverage against 3, and you should not be giving up 10 yards of space here where that becomes really easy. Miami understood what they were looking at, did a great job of scheming this up, and Florida State safeties just got blasted. It's too easy. And, that really was the ball game right there. Those two plays changed the course of this game. Those 3 plays, the long one on the prior series, then the quick slant that was a freebie, and then that one, that changed the whole game, because all of a sudden you've won up front on your offense. You've been basically a stalemate up front defensively if you're Florida State, and you're down 14-3. So here you've got this little sweep. And Florida State wins to the edge. Good job by the backers in secondary. And there's just not much there. Pretty good by Lions there. So now they're in a 3-3, a true 3-3. They're deciding to try to take away some more of the pass stuff here. And they're covering with 8. And Beck is sitting back there. There's no pressure. But again, you're rushing 3 here. And you are trying to stop the run, right? This is 2nd and 11. You're in sort of run stop and cover phase. This is fine. You're not trying to get pressure here. What you're trying to do is take away that, which they did, take away that, which they did, and take away that, and force this and come downhill and make the tackle. This is a win for the defense. Now, the problem is, when your plan is to come downhill and tackle, you need to come downhill and tackle. And the extra 3 yards right here matters. Secondary just giving up too many yards after the play. So now you get your false start. That changes the complexion of that. So now you've got a true pass rush down. It's 3rd and 8. And they're going to show the double mug here. What they did before is they, had the little pick play here. In this case, they're going to bring 4, and they're going to drop the rest. They're going to drop in coverage here. They're going to bring an A. They're going to go there. And they're trying to get some pass rush with those guys. And they don't get a bunch, but they do take away the first reads downfield. There's nothing open at this stage. I mean, if you're Beck, I kind of like this. This is fine. I don't know why he doesn't pull the trigger here, honestly. Take that. Pull the trigger. This is probably a first down. You just put this right on this outside shoulder here and just let it come downhill. And you should probably get a first down out of that because there's a lot of space. Jerry Wilson's given 10-yard cushion, and he's playing 5 yards past the sticks. I don't understand this. I don't know why Beck didn't just take it. There's not immediate pressure, and then Beck, bails. There's no reason for him to have bailed here. This is good protection from Miami, and then Florida State's able to get a stop. And I just think that was a bad play by Beck, honestly. He had a guy. He had his first read, and he just didn't like it. I don't know why he didn't like it. That's one where if I'm evaluating him for the pros, I'm going, oh, that's NFL open for sure. It's even college open. So now you got another drive, and you're in a true 3 down. And look, this is a win for the defensive line. We're going to take a look at this from the other side. But you're going 3 down. These guys, what you're trying to do here is these guys are essentially trying to occupy 5 blockers. You just want them to try to make a pile to occupy in here as much as you can. And if you can, work your way into the backfield, compress it some, and just force them to block you and keep these 3 guys clean. That's what you're trying to do. Jackson, once again, Brockermeyer had a rough night. Jackson, once again, has him on skates. Lyons works his way into the backfield, beats one, gets his way into the backfield. It's a good run, but that's a win for Florida State up front. 2nd and 8. Russian 3 again. And this is, look, if you're going to rush 3, you can't have this. This is really, really poor. I mean, that is how much space you've allowed here on mesh. I mean, Florida State, this is the 2nd time they've run mesh, and the 2nd time Florida State's misplayed it right here. This is really poor. What are you doing? This right here can't happen. And actually, I think it's here. You just cannot let a guy come out that free. The communication here is terrible. I mean, this is bad. And this is why it scores. I mean, this is horrendous. And yes, this gets called back, but this is so bad in the secondary from Florida State. And it is the right call. He was going forward. But this right here, this is mesh. The way this should work is these guys bump across, and as he comes out, he should just be going with him, or he's going to have to sit down and run with him. But what I would prefer is that he becomes the guy that comes up and takes it, because you got coming in, and he caps it. And you got him playing over the top. Instead, my goodness. Now, there's not any pressure to speak of. Jackson gets compression. He actually does affect the quarterback here. So you could call this a pressure, perhaps, but I wouldn't. But he does affect the quarterback a little bit. Now, Beck finds the space like any good quarterback will, just finds that space and finds his next read. And you've got a guy that's out there completely wide open. And then this is embarrassing for Florida State. I mean, he just runs away from the secondary, and the secondary looks slow here. I mean, I don't know what's happening here. I mean, that's completely, he just slides and takes himself out of the play, and then they've got nothing. I mean, that is really poor. Yeah, this is really bad. And this is really bad. More 3-3. Again, you're just playing cover on this guy. Now, if you're going to cover, you have to cover. Nice play there by the backer, but you got to finish. Right? This is down at the 41. Now he's out to the 46, 47, 48-yard line. That's 7 yards after the initial contact. You got to put him on the ground. And that's Omar Graham. Just put him on the ground. You're a linebacker. You got to finish, make that tackle. Put him on the ground. And that's where the game kept being lost, is just not finishing some of those things. Now here you get pressure. You actually brought more. Well, you only brought 4. This is just Desir being a dude. You actually got pressure with 4 against a that's a 5-man protection with chips. Amari Williams also out there with the pressure. He's been playing a decent amount in this game, and I think he's found where he's going to be his best moving forward right here. These two really are the future. These three are the future in terms of Florida State pass rush. 2 freshmen and a sophomore. That's what you want. That's pretty good right there. Still basically a stalemate up front in this game, but it's it's not been good in the secondary. So now they run it. This is just a little draw. You got the freshman on the field again. Desir holds up fine. Amari Williams holds up okay. And I would call this basically, it's actually pretty good from Williams against Malinoa. Gets in there. I'd say that's a win for the defense, except that, you get a little bit of carry forward on that. And it's the last play of the half, so you're fine with that. All right, third quarter. More 3-3-5. They're going into that using the big personnel. And once again, you can see Brockermeyer going backwards as soon as he snaps it because Daryl Jackson is a dude. Now, this is a win on the left tackle. And I would say that's overall a win on first down for Miami's run game, largely because you didn't get a win here at backer. Backer has to finish this. And, Jackson kind of gets locked up. He pushes him in the backfield, but he doesn't quite finish through that. But you really expect this backer to be able to make that play. And this is a win for the left tackle. Yeah, you got to win. You got to win with that backer on the inside. Just not good enough at backer right now. So here you got a 3-man rush against a 6-man protection, and Daniel Lyons actually gets a pressure. He got beat on the last play, but he wins on this one. That's a big win. That's a big win in that situation for Florida State in terms of pass rush, because you're only rushing 3, and they're using a 6-man protection because they're trying to hit another big. They're trying to hit another. Looks like, what are they trying to do? I don't like this concept at all that they're running. That's an RPO is what that is. And he pulled that thinking that he might have this, but he doesn't have it. I don't know why he's pulling that. That's really a poor decision by Beck. Now, it winds up being good for Florida State. That also explains why that was such a quick win for Lions. They weren't pass protecting. That was an RPO. So you rush 5. They protect with 6. Coming downhill. No pressure, but you're not really going to get pressure when it gets out this quick. Because, look at the time. Right? So if you're going to go 15:03 and a half when that's snapped, and the ball is gone at 15:05 and a half. So he gets that out in about 2 seconds. That you're just not going to get pressure that quickly. And there you go. So, I'd say that's a win for Miami. But it's not a upfront win. That's just the quarterback and the secondary the quarterback winning and the secondary getting beat. Once again, it's just an outside run play. Get 4 yards. It turns into 6 because he falls forward once again. This is where you're getting beat. Outside zone. And in terms of the line of scrimmage, boy, you're in great shape here. First contact made right there by your linebacker, basically at the line of scrimmage. Line of scrimmage is a 46. So you're at the line of scrimmage making contact right here as a linebacker. And then he gets 5 yards after contact. This is not line of scrimmage play. This is just getting your butt kicked at the backer position and making tackles right here. You have the one-on-one that you wanted. You schemed this up. It's exactly what you want. Bam. But you got to be the low man and you got to finish. And he gets into a wrestling match and loses. That's the problem. So now you're in short yardage. 3rd and 1. And it's basically a stalemate up front. The line of scrimmage doesn't move at all. But there's also no penetration. And essentially you're depending on this is old Mickey Andrews stuff. You're depending on your Charlie, on your cat blitz to get there and be able to make the play from behind. And he's there right now. You got to finish. Get at his legs. Cannot try to tackle him up around the shoulders here. He's got to get down right about here at those knees and hang on for dear life. And this is a tackle for loss right there. Get down to the knees. Do not get up around the shoulders. But instead he gets up around the shoulders, and that's a first down. Line of scrimmage wise, this doesn't go anywhere. And you've got a guy in the backfield to make the tackle, and you just don't finish. You got to go through the lower body there. This drives me crazy. That drives me crazy right there. It's a full 10 yards of cushion. I just don't like it. You got immediate win up front from Daniel Lyons here. Is this a bust? Yeah, this is a bust. Oops. He knows right here. He busted. You got a right guard. This is going to happen. Showed a couple of these Florida State as well. It was close to a face mask, but it was up on the helmet. But yeah, right there. Oops. And Lyons just takes advantage of not being blocked. 3-man rush. And this is what you're hoping for. This was the game plan. Take away the obvious throws and force them to throw this. Now, I mean, if he wants to be Tom Brady, he might be able to fit this in here. But you're trying to force that and then come up and tackle. This is a win for the defense. You're not trying to get pressure with 3 here. You know they're blocking with 5 or 6, and you're just trying to compress the pocket, make it uncomfortable, and have him get it out, and avoid there being anything that is... What in the world? Woo! Avoid there being anything that is wide open, like that. Corner just got lazy here. He's squatting on it. He recognizes that the quarterback's sitting back, but at this point, you've still got to turn and run. If the quarterback looks back, he's wide open. I mean, because this is before the throw here. He is not thrown. You have deep third, son. What are you doing? This was a very poor game for Jerry Wilson. Screen game here. All they're trying to do. Fourth and 3. Compressed formation. You bring 5, and they protect with 6. And you get no pressure at all here. And this is a win for Miami up front in the pass rush game. Now, 4th and 3, you do have to potentially honor the run, but you're in pass rush mode here. This is a total pass down. And I think, again, you just got locked up on the inside. So this isn't good enough. If you're bringing the 5th guy, you got to find a way to get a little more pressure than this. Win for Miami, and then the real problem here is Florida State has struggled with bunch stuff all year. So you have kind of a little disruption here where they're just trying to clear this out and then get a little follow, which is one of my favorite concepts in bunch. You're just trying to get this because they know he's going to sift to that. He's going to take point, and he's going to expect outside, and then you give him the little Texas route and sit that inside. And that's just too easy. Too easy on 4th down. No pressure. Just stick it in there, and notice how quickly he gets rid of it too. I mean, that's out in under 2 seconds. There's no pressure you're going to get in under 2 seconds, and now you've got a wide open player. I mean, this right here, that's just way too much. It's 4th and 2. It's 4th and 3. And you're giving up that window? Ooh. That's just not good enough. And then you just let him run away from you. And this right here isn't good. Watch, oh man, where'd he go? Oh, yeah, he's still going. Don't throw your hands up. Get in there and start running to the football earlier instead of throwing your hands up. And he's late on running to it, and then it's too late. And now this is a really poor angle from your rover, who I think is in poor leverage here. Rover should be in this area, and he should be able to come downhill and finish this tackle and at least prevent a touchdown. But gets turned around, and that's, again, where did you get beat? You got beat right there. This is a third just getting embarrassed in the secondary situation. Just not good enough there. So now it's 7:56 in the third quarter. Miami has not been able to run the football with any real success so far. All the stuff that they've been able to do is on essentially 3 chunk plays and a bunch of screen game stuff. And, here again, you get some screen game outside. 5 yards, that's a win on 1st down. Nice job by the Elephants on parade there. And then now you're back into, again, more true 3-3 stack stuff. And what are you trying to do? You're just trying to create piles on the inside. You're trying to force them to beat you on the edge. And at this point, I mean, what you're looking at is Dawson has recognized that Florida State's been able to stack things up on the interior with a lot of success. So what is he doing? He's giving a run look here, letting everybody trigger downhill, and then he's finding the space that he wants to get this ball on the edge, because where Miami's having all their success is in this stuff. Force these guys to tackle. That was Miami's game plan. Force the outside guys to tackle. 2nd and 5, you've essentially taken advantage of Jerry Wilson on the edge again. Stiff arm, 1st down. Where are you getting beat? You're getting beat over and over and over again in the secondary. They're making the corners tackle. They're making the corners cover. They're making the safeties in particular cover. And Florida State's not winning in those matchups. Miami's playmakers just won this game at those spots. Once again, 1st down, what are you doing? They're just doing some box count stuff here. This is standard constraint play, RPO. They're reading this guy, actually. And he's still in the box, so just take him, put it out there. Easy throw. 6 yards. And again, you cannot just keep giving up 6 yards on these constraint plays, on these little packaged parts of the RPO game. I mean, Arnaud does a good job here getting out and making the tackle, but it's still a 6-yard gain. You got to get that guy on the ground at 3. And now you're loose enough here. You're in a 40 front, and you're loose enough that you're giving up a run. First run that they've had with any real success in a while. You got Wynn, the freshman, here. Oh, what in the world? Apologies. Screen went haywire there. Sorry. And it's haywire again. Apologies. All right, that should be fixed. So you got Wynn here, Desir, and then the transfer here. I think that's McCray. And you can see the drop off here as you get some of the younger guys in there. But this is just a nice little concept here where they're trying to get a little bit of a, what is this, just standard stretch? Yeah, you get a little outside zone. And this is honestly pretty poor from Earl Little here. He kind of gets on his heels. He needs to strike this. Get up there, trigger, and strike this. And instead, he kind of goes down, gets run over. Not his finest moment. He does make the tackle as he's getting run over, but with some help. So back in 40 stuff. Now, here's what's encouraging moving forward. Watch the first move from Wynn here. This is why we heard about some very positive things about him coming out of camp. That's pretty good coming off the ball for a guy that's 325 and a freshman. But here's your reverse. This is where they got 22 of their rushing yards. Otherwise, they're averaging under 3 yards a carry on the game. He thinks this is a touchdown, by the way. And you can see why. I mean, they've got a bunch of guys out front. And ultimately, it's Rawls that does a great job of just staying with this and finding the ball carrier. But this easily could have scored. I mean, there's a bunch of help out there. And if he's more patient and just kind of sits and lets this guy clear and all this scores. He just didn't see him. Good job by Rawls. So you're still 21-3. You still have a chance to potentially come back here. This is the backbreaker, though. This drive. So you had your 22-yard reverse. Now you got your older players on the field. Lions gets penetration into the backfield. You get contact a yard deep, and the back gets 5. But this is a win for Lions. You see him getting in the backfield there. You see, just in general, the offensive front is more or less neutralized there. Finally, good coverage here. And actually, you probably should come up with the pick there. You're bringing 5 rushers in this situation, and you're just not getting pressure. I mean, you've only had a few pressure opportunities. This is one of them on the game. You're trying to compress this, and Beck has plenty of time. I mean, he's throwing this in rhythm. He just throws it really poorly, and I think he makes a bad decision too. Joseph has a chance there if he covers that just a little better to pick that because how poorly thrown that was. So now you're getting the screen, and the tunnel just develops really nicely. This is one where you've got a bunch of the young guys on the field. And the defensive line overruns it, and the offensive line does a great job getting to the backers. And then you've got a very poor play here. He's got to hit this. And that's the ball game. I mean, that's the backbreaker right there. That takes you out of real striking distance. And once again, is this a line of scrimmage play? No, this is a perimeter play where you're getting it to your playmaker, and the Florida State secondary and backers are just not good enough. That's where you've got to play better. And now Miami's going to try to continue to do what they do, run the football. Going to get a little less on the perimeter from here as they're trying to run some clock. Got stretch here. It's okay. I'd say this is a win on the front side defensive tackle. Yeah, it's definitely a win. Good job by that double team, just turning him. Really good technique by Miami there. They're so well coached up front. This is a nice win up front for Miami's offensive line in the run game. And here you're stacking it a little bit. What's the down and distance here? 2nd and 4. You know this is a rundown. So you're trying to stack this and try to create a pile. You make contact at the line of scrimmage. And then you get carried forward, almost 4 yards. I do think that you're starting to see a little bit of wear on Florida State's defensive line. You know, Jackson here gets moved a little bit. I think this double against the backer here, this combo sets things well. You just got to make those tackles when you got the opportunity. Really, really good technique from Miami up front. I'd say that was a win for their offensive line there. And now you've got 3rd and 1. And you sell out. And this is a stop. Like, defensive line wise, this is a win. You were in position to get this win. You've got him stopped from behind. And Rawls again goes high. I don't understand this. You got to go through the leg here and wrap through the leg rather than trying to get the waist and above. But this should not happen. But you can see up front, watch what happens here, 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 and to a lesser extent here. Compressing, starting to get some penetration. This is not what I would call a win for the offensive line. Now they're starting to build a wall. That's fine. But you've shut down that hole. Now just get through that thigh pad. Come tight to what you got and then get through that thigh pad. And you got to tackle for loss. And you got a guy who's actually met him here, who split through the double team and is just going for a ride. Yeah, I understand the frustration from Rawls here. Because he had an opportunity to make that play. So now, beginning of the 4th quarter, they still have it. Running the football. Finally got one that went down right away. This is an obvious hold. So now you've got a longer yardage situation. You go true 3-3. And they're trying to run a little let's see, this is just some interesting action in the backfield. You know, they're given a little boot action, but this is for the slip there. But this is just zone play. And, you know, FSU defensive line wise has neutralized that, and then you've got your backers coming in, and that's fine. There's really no place to go there. Once again, going to the screen game. This time, Daryl Jackson sniffs that out and stops the screen before it starts. Oh, that happened to me once in practice where I got something like this and I'm staring down the sights right at Darnell Dockett. It's like, you know what? I'm getting down. Yeah, that's probably not going to go my way. So now you've got third down, you got third and long, third and 16. So you're going to rush 4, just trying to provide enough to get him to get the ball out. And he gets the ball out in about 1.9 seconds here. 1.8 seconds. Just throwing a standard bench route to the opposite side. It's a good throw, but still not going to get the first down. It's exactly what you want defensively. It's fine. So now after the onside kick, running the football. They've been running this all game. This is your standard power stuff. And once again, the defensive line, this is just a stalemate. Defensive line, not so much a stalemate entirely here. I mean, eventually the wall gets here with Desir, and he goes down, but creates a pile. I mean, he takes 2 guys with him. That's okay. That is okay. Same thing here. These guys have reset the line of scrimmage, or they've stayed put. That's a stalemate, and there's no place for this to go. And finally, the backers are getting there, triggering fast enough, and they're able to get to the back and finish that before he's able to fall forward. This is a net neutral for the defensive line, and for the run defense as a whole, that's a win. 2 yards is a win. Once again, the same zone play. It's basically split zone out of 2 back with a little possible slip. And, if I'm Shannon Dawson, I actually call this slip after seeing this, because you got a one-on-one out here where you're going to get this. I mean, this could score. FSU is devoting the extra guy to that run. Have him pull the slip. So now it's 3rd and 7. Got your rush package on. And you get him to move a little bit in the pocket. Big thing is that you got a takedown here. One of the Desir twins wins right here. Is that Mandrell? He wins and you get the holding penalty, but it's a 4th down, so you'll take the result. But that's a win for your pass rush. 4 on 6, and you get pressure. And you get a holding call. So now you get another drive. This is after another touchdown. Handing the ball off. If I'm Dawson, I would have run slip here. And inside, everything's covered up, so this has to go outside. Get 4 yards. That's a win for Miami in terms of the run. But in terms of line of scrimmage, that's a neutral. Big issue here is you've got to get your secondary players to the table a little quicker to get that on the ground before 3 yards. So it's actually 3 yards. That's a neutral play. And this is, Beck just screwed this one up. This is there. He's beat. You got just this little glance route. And if you put this right here with Beck and he goes in there, it's possible this, you break the tackle and turn this into a big play. It's a Russian 5 with a green dog here. So you're in man. And he just throws it behind him. That's the Beck I kind of expected to see at times in this game. They weren't able to force him to be that guy because of some of the early coverage busts. But yeah. So here's a version of that same slip. Trying to get it. I don't like it out of that formation as much, but they do get close. Fourth and 1. And this is a ball game, and it's ball game simply because you got a guy lined up offside right here. Young player, and this is where the older guys have to make sure that he's doing this the right way. Now, here's the thing. I mean, Wynn against Maui Noa and a double team here actually holds up. I mean, I'd like to see him. Wow, that's pretty impressive. They do a good job of getting the additional blocker on Rawls, the end man here. But he's getting to his ankles. You just got to finish. Get those hands stronger. Finish. First down. Good run. And again, this is a big pile. I think you got to give Miami's offensive line the win here on the whole. But that is a war inside right there. You got penetration from a couple guys. You know, Lions gets penetration. I mean, you got a lineman on skates here from Lions, put right back into the backfield. Wind doesn't go backwards, and eventually it just kind of falls forward over some of the other guys coming from the backside. But boy, that's real close. So now you got outside zone with that backside coming from the fullback position, and once again, your defensive line kind of finishes this pretty well. I mean, they want to turn this into a phone booth thing, and they did this all game. I mean, this is not different from what they were doing earlier. It's a win for the defensive line. One more win for the defensive line. This is a backer. This is Justin Cryer, and then look at the pursuit here from Desir coming from there to get in on this. This is a power and just kind of coming forward, and that's I would say a win, slight win here for Miami on this. This is probably a little win there at the point of attack, and you're getting here. So slight wins, but then you get your backer in there, and that's enough. I mean, that's pretty good run defense. And at this point, they just need to run clock, so they're going to try to get that out there. I mean, you're playing a little more pass defense here, but you're ready for either. And then you just run into the ball. And you got to win here. Get a guy here. It's really good from Jackson, just forcing him to get wide. And not good enough from Earl Little. But Rawls gets him on the ground, 4th and 8. And here's where you got to go for it, just because of time and situation. And you get your blitz. Well, actually, this is just coming off the edge. You get your free runner and get the ball back. So, I mean, look, on the whole, and now you've got your victory formation, which Mario has apparently learned how to use. On the whole, look, this, to me, I would say was right around between a stalemate and a slight Miami win in terms of offensive line. On the other side of the ball, I said very similar. I thought it was basically a stalemate or a slight Florida State win up front on Florida State's offensive line. But the difference, Florida State's secondary got torched. Miami's secondary largely won their matchup, and that's the difference in the ball game. Miami took care of business at quarterback, and the key situations. Florida State didn't. They had opportunities. That's how this game broke down. But this is not a situation where one team just wore the other down up front or dominated the other up front. Neither team dominated this game on the line of scrimmage. Not even close. This was basically a wash on the line of scrimmage if you take both sides of the ball into account. One team was a lot better in the secondary. One team was a good bit better at quarterback. That was the difference in the game. So we'll go ahead and stop there. This has been Unconquered Film Session on the 2025 Florida State Miami game. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.